out here today. Thank you, all of you, today for joining us here for the Ravery Sports Podcast, our version here, the MLB trade deadline. Thank you for all of us for joining out there. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content out here. Little interruption here. Hi guys. How you doing? We got 70 people watching there in the stream there. So thank you very much. There is a lot going on today because the Orioles, along with the rest of Major League Baseball, are at the trade deadline, which ends here at about 6 o'clock. So we are absolutely going over all the moves that has happened for the Baltimore Orioles today. In like and subscribe if you haven't done so ever. A lot of people here today. Go ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment, do all that in today for what's happened. Let's go over what's happened. All right. So the Orioles, they're acquiring Southpaw pitcher Trevor Rogers from the Miami Marlins. The Marlins will receive outfielder and second baseman Connor Norby to Miami, and they also get Kyle Stowers for the Orioles. So this is obviously a lot of us, if you've been watching Twitter today, very perplexing stuff that's going on with the trade. So Trevor Rogers, who is now a member of the Baltimore Orioles, record not very good, frankly. 2-9 this season. ERA above 4. I think it's at around 4.50. Orioles, this is very, very strange what I think happened today with this trade. Let's talk about the good here. The good here is Kyle Stowers is going to get a chance to play now. All right. Kyle Stowers had no future with the Baltimore Orioles. Okay. He just didn't have any future with the Orioles. They were not interested in him maintaining him for the long term. Kyle Stowers is now going to get a chance to go to Miami and play more on a regular basis as well. Good for him. Even a good spring, even being good in Norfolk is good for him. Actually, he's going to get a chance at play. Connor Norby, same. Connor Norby, not impressed with his defense here since he's been with the big club. So not very good defensively. That's just the fact of the matter. He struggled defensively, Connor Norby, but I do think he was a good bet. I think he was just blocked behind a lot of guys, really didn't get a chance to play that much or as much as he would have at a different organization. So you feel good for him going ahead and getting it. All right. Now to the obvious. Trevor Rogers is 2-9, guys. This is a lot to give up for a guy that's 2-9. That I don't care how else you slice it. Some of you, we're going to talk about Zach Eflin trade and all that, etc. But this is a lot to give up for a guy that's 2-9. He's left-handed, which is good. I know Brandon Hyde's going to like that. And he throws hard, at least he used to. A couple years ago, he was a guy who threw 90 plus, 97 miles an hour. Velocity kind of been down to about in the mid 90s, 92-ish. Lots of off speed as well. He has been good lately, which I think is the lost thing here. So if you look at his last few starts, he has been really good, kind of finding himself, just had a bit of tough luck as far as getting wins and losses. So it is an element of it's worse than it looks. Possibly it's better than it looks. But this is a lot that they gave up, frankly. This is a top 100 prospect with Connor Norby, right around top 100 prospect. Stowers, it seemed like you gave up more to get less of a pitcher when you talk about a guy with Trevor Rogers from the Marlins. So interesting to see how this actually goes. Where does he go in the rotation? So you have obviously Corbin Burns, the ace, is going to start tonight. And also, too, you're going to have Grayson Rodriguez, the ace in waiting. I think it's only a matter of time before he becomes the ace of the squad as well. You did get, and you still have Dean Kramer. So this probably is the fifth spot, I would think, for him, considering what you gave up. He's going to get a start here. So those are going to be your 5 starters for the Orioles. Interesting, too, doesn't give up a lot of home runs. Good in the pitcher's park. So maybe Mike Elias knows what he's doing. Maybe he knows something we don't. Always 2 when you hope. Always use, for years ago, a football example. When Mike Shanahan, a long time ago, he signed Jake Plummer. right, from Arizona. And Arizona wasn't very good. And Plummer wasn't very. He brought him into Denver saying, okay, my program is going to elevate this player and make him a better player. That's what they're thinking here. Obviously, with Trevor Rogers, he's not on a very good team in Miami, and it is going to maybe elevate them to go ahead and go to the next level. We'll see. We will definitely see how this is going to go going forward with that. First trade Orioles made a couple days ago. Phillies and the Orioles included the prospects that saw Dominguez and Rays, Sir Anthony Dominguez and Christian Pache in exchange for our guy, Austin Hayes, all-star from last year. So this was kind of, you might as well say this was Dominguez for Hayes, because this is what the Orioles actually wanted. They obviously had a bit of a logjam out in left field. This now allows Colton Cowser to play every day in a position left field for every day. He doesn't have to share with Austin Hayes. You don't have to move him around in and out. You could plug Colton Cowser, potential rookie of the year, out there in left field every day. So I think that was as much part of this as anything else. So that's what you're going to do as well. Sir Anthony Dominguez is a guy that can help him in the bullpen. That's actually what they're trying to do here. They were trying to get some bullpen help. Christian Pache, maybe he's a guy at the end of the bench who can help him with speed, late innings, kind of similar to what you saw with Jorge Mateo. Pache was a really big prospect at one point. So it's not a surprise that he's a guy who could fill a roster spot for them. But really, Dominguez, the hard thrower in the bullpen, they really do need bullpen help, especially the way Craig Kimball's looked the last few weeks. Give yourself another option, a veteran arm. They've ran through a lot of their minor league guys here. Mike Bauman's gone. Brian Barker's been up and down. A lot of these guys, interesting to see that. Hayes, it's sad to see a guy like Hayes go. Hayes and like Santander are some of the last remnants of the team when they were really bad, the pre-Mike Elias era as well, really getting the team going before the rebuild. So it's very interesting to have those guys. Hayes is going to play every day in Philly, so as well. I'm not too mad also too with Hayes when he says he has a better chance in Philly maybe to win a World Series. I mean, we haven't been to the World Series since 1983. So, I mean, hopefully we get there this year, absolutely. But this is a guy not playing every day anymore, an opportunity for him to go somewhere else and play. All right, so that's also in there as well. Zach Eflin, the biggest trade, I think, traded for cash considerations as well, going to the Rays. So the Orioles trade Matthew Etzel, right-hander Jax Burmester, and Max Horvath, utility player, played a lot of third base, very good player at University of North Carolina as well. Some people were mad about this, but this makes more sense to me. Eflin is look, you got to look at value in any deal, okay? Zach Eflin, if you want to judge him as a number one starter, that's different. He's not quite as good this year, a little bit older. You're going to have team control next year. So he's going to be in your rotation next year, and you're going to need help in rotation. You're not going to have Kyle Bradish, all right, at the beginning of next year for sure, if you have him at all. You're not going to have John Means anymore. John Means' contract is up. Question, even if he does, you stay healthy. So this is not a rental. This is a guy you could put in that third, fourth rotation spot for the next couple of years, for this year and next year. Doesn't have to pay him $30 million. Maybe he gets better. Maybe he kind of returns to form. I've heard some of the complaints about him losing velocity. I'm not as angry about that one personally, but you're getting a good third starter. You're going to have to give up something. You gave up Matthew Etzel, who's moving up, a fine minor league prospect. I think probably had he stayed in the organization, he could have worked his way into the top 10. Definitely, but with so many outfielders, whatever, he's been blocked. Guy like that, good value here for Etzel. Jackson Burmester, I thought, was my favorite pitching prospect. So this is what they gave up. I thought this was the biggest loss in this deal. Not a lot of pitching prospects. The Orioles have been signing a lot of hitting prospects in the draft. They drafted Vance Honeycutt, outstanding hitter. Griff O'Farrell, outstanding hitter. But they gave up a lot of pitching prospects as well. So you got to keep that in mind. They gave up something here, but they are going to get a guy also too important team control for next year. So Burmester, Etzel, and Max Horvath, outstanding hitting prospect, third base prospect, probably very similar, but he's also very similar to Max Wagner, who they already have in the organization, and he's probably a couple years away. None of these players, even though I know they were popular and all that, were going to help you at all until 2026. Not on the major league level they won't. Even going to a raise, maybe a Horvath cup of coffee next year, possibly at the end of the year. But these guys, they're going to be in the minors this year, and they're going to be in the minors all of next year. So they're not going to be able to help you going forward for the next couple of years. So interesting to see what goes on with those guys as well. I think the moves that we made today, I think the Rogers trade, you definitely have to question. I don't think there's any question about that. With the Rogers trade, it's definitely very interesting that they went ahead and had that because that's a move that is something that is the cost seemed a little bit high. We still have time in the trade deadline here, so we don't know what else is going to happen. We don't know if it doesn't look like we're going to get Garrett Crochet. It doesn't look like we're going to get Tarek Subel. They have not, according to this recording here, it's about 4:00 here Eastern, so they have not been traded yet. If there anything else happens, we definitely will go over it as well. One more thing here, and I definitely want to go to this. How do the prospects look now? Okay, so I know we still have about a few hours here in the trade deadline, but I definitely want to go over how the prospects look now because a lot has changed here in the last couple of days. So this is my version of the top prospects in the Orioles MLB system here in the minor leagues as well. So let's go ahead and going to take a look at that. So this is the current prospect list as of today, right? So this is the Rivalry Sports 2024 prospect list for the Baltimore Orioles as of today. Honorable mention, okay? These are guys here not in the top 10, but definitely worth keeping an eye on. Griff O'Farrell, definitely, we talked about him on the channel. He's outstanding. The way he's played in University of Virginia, a lot of Dustin Pervoya vibes. Talk about vibes here. The Kyle Schwarber vibes with Creed Williams. Lost a lot of weight, hit for power. Maybe he doesn't hit for average, but I think he's actually coming to the majors a little sooner. I think he gets a cup of coffee possibly next year. Luis Amidia just turned 18, one of the highest signings that the Orioles ever had with the Dominican baseball as well. 2027, I think, is the earliest for him. Braylon Tavera as well, another high Dominican signing. Keep an eye on him. I think he's not quite in the top 10, but definitely worth keeping your eye on. Top 10. This has changed because a lot of guys are gone. The guy who definitely moved in is Trace Bright. Now with Burmester gone, I think this is going to be one of the top pitching prospects in the Orioles system. He's been very good at Bowie this year, so definitely keep an eye on him. Definitely throws very, very hard. So definitely he's not a rock thrower, still learning to pitch. Been pretty good this year. I think probably he spends the rest of the year in Bowie. Maybe he comes up to Norfolk, maybe at the tail end, but definitely keep your eye on him. I don't think he plays at all this year in the majors, but keep an eye on him. Chase McDermott, he's not in the majors as of now, I don't think, so I'm going to put him on the list. Definitely, I think he's coming back at some point. I think he's probably a back end of the rotation starter in the majors. Possibly a long reliever might better serve him, but I think that's what he is. Max Wagner, I think if you saw him, Horvath goes out the world, as my daughter would put it, copy paste for Max Wagner. He hasn't hit quite as well, which is probably why they went to Horvath instead of him. He's had a few more injuries. Average is a little bit lower, but Wagner, I think, is very good. Judd Fabian, I think, has been climbing the system. Not quite as good this season, but I definitely think he's on a path. I think he's in that block category too. Good outfielder. He's a guy who's only climbed because he's hit well, so he's kind of plateaued a bit, but I think he's definitely worthy of a top 10. Vance Honeycutt is not showing up on a lot of lists because, technically speaking, he hasn't signed yet. But, man, upside, all 5 tools for this guy. The only thing, the swing and miss for the sabermetric nerds are not going to like that. But other than that, hits a mile, great in the outfield, great speed, great throwing arm. Every tool, definitely 50 plus for Vance Honeycutt. Dylan Beavers, I think, has been steady. Price is kept kind of like want to be understated. I think I'm surprised today, not more interested in Dylan Beavers. Definitely these two guys, 4 and 5, are very similar. Great speed. I think definitely if we see Cedric Mullins move on, he's going to be replaced by Dylan Beavers or Enrique Banfield, who has definitely moved up. He was the number 1 pick last year. Great speed. Very impressed recently with Banfield and the throwing arm that he showed as well. So very impressive with him showing that throwing arm. Kobe Mayo, I think he's still untouchable. I don't blame him. I think this is why we're hearing more talk, though, of Mountcastle possibly being traded, or they're looking to move him because they may want to try have that logjam release at Kobe Mayo at first. They have plans for him. I don't think he's getting traded. Sam Basayo, I think, is still very young. I think he's an outstanding young hitter. His bat speed is probably maybe the best on the list as far as being an outstanding hitter. Definitely, I have 2024. May see him this year. He's been that good, but I think he's a bit black. I think the Orioles might be more willing to move him at some point, simply because of the behind Adley Rutschman. I don't think it's there's a place for him, and he is not as good as Adley. So keep that in mind. And I think Jackson Holiday, I think, still at the top of the food chain as one of the top prospects in the Orioles organization, if not all of baseball. After a bit of a struggle at Norfolk, he's been out terrific the rest of the year. They are taking their time with Jackson. With Norby out, we obviously thought, well, Jackson Holiday's it. They brought up Terran Vavra. We will see what goes on there. There you go. The prospect list there. So definitely keep that in mind. Thank you very much for watching the Ravery Sports Podcast. Definitely check it out. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content as well. Also, raverysports.company.site. Check out our website. Hats like this, Adley stuff like this. You can get that on the website as well. Definitely check it out. raverysports.company.site is at the bottom of the screen. Thank you. Thank all of you for joining us today, and you have a great rest of your day. Let's follow and on our podcast and on all of our social media content. You have a great day.